Okay, YouTube, let's go. Let's get it popping. Let's talk about this Sharks 4-1 win again. Didn't we just have a 4-1 win on this road trip that was of the statement variety, like in Calgary about a week ago? It's amazing the way this season has played out in a sense of the Sharks on some nights and in some games not showing up like you would expect. For example, in Winnipeg or on Saturday against the Avs. Losing 6-2, allowing goals in every period. But then on a night like tonight where you face the Minnesota Wild, best team in the Central, had won 5 of 6, one of only 2 teams out west to already have double-digit wins, and the Sharks had dropped 4 of their last 5. San Jose scores in every period. They only allow 1. That's right, 2 or fewer. And it's a statement win tonight, no matter how you cut it, individually and collectively. So we're going to talk about the game. I'll eventually get to taking some of your comments. Last time here in the conference room studio, huge issues with the live chat, but let me try it this time. For example, Phil, there you go. Well, it's a little bit jittery down there, isn't it? This season is a roller coaster of emotions. I kind of feel like that too. 1 step forward sometimes, 2 steps forward sometimes, and then maybe 1 step back. But they've also been through some things like getting all those players off the COVID protocol list, and that's why I kind of see Saturday's game now as kind of a scratch. Look at Erik Karlsson tonight. Look at Timo Meier tonight. Look at Marc-Edouard Vlasic tonight. Maddie says, felt like they were all into this game. Great to see. I completely agree. So, yeah, you now have this season a handful already of statement wins by the Sharks. Games that going in on paper, something or multiple things were not favoring them, but by the end of the night, they get the ultimate results. Where should we even begin in this one? How about Timo Meier? 14 points in 10 games played this season. So he's played 10 of the 15, missed obviously 5 games because he was in one of those COVID protocol games, right? Like after he played on that Saturday, the first day that most players didn't play, and then he went on the list, I think, on Sunday or Monday. So I know, kind of confusing in retrospect, but he was off to such a start this season. Of all the players, he was kind of the biggest shame that he went on the list. I say shame in a sense that it was going to interrupt his season. I talked to Timo throughout, said that physically he was not really symptomatic other than smell and taste and things like that. And, look at tonight, a goal and an assist in the first period. You got the secondary helper on Mario Ferraro, which is a whole different conversation I can't wait to get into. And then scoring off the long rebound off of the Vlasic shot with about 40-something seconds left in the first period. And to get that late goal, I tell you, goals count equally no matter if it's the first 5 seconds of a period, midway through the period, midway through the game, late in the game. But when you score in the final minute of a period, there is just something about the extra gut punch it provides. And I don't know if it's, sending your opposition into the room thinking that they were going to be down only 1-0, and instead it's 2-0, which turned out to be the game winner. But there is something about it, and obviously the Sharks benefited in that situation. Let's go back to Mario Ferraro here for just a second. Second goal in the season, second goal in 15 games. I know you're going to do the pace. Well, he's not a goal scorer, and he's playing with Brent Burns. The most important thing is that, he is a solid, stout, defensive defenseman to go along and match the prowess of Burnsy with the puck. And yeah, Burnsy's been plugging away with the assists so far this year. He's been heavily involved in the offense. But the biggest thing about Mario Ferraro, and I'll keep saying this until I run out of air, the biggest thing he's done this year is step up with Burnsy when the Sharks were basically missing 4 of their everyday defensemen. You knew Burnsy was capable of that. Like, you knew that was in his arsenal. He's a big boy. He takes care of himself. He's an NHL veteran. He's used to the heavy minutes. He always has been that type of guy. Mario, maybe at this level, first time where it's like, not only are you the top pair, but you're going to play top pair minutes, and then you're also probably going to play an extra 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes a night because we're shorthanded a bit. So I think the statement he's been making, he was all over the ice tonight. Sometimes we glamorize the goals too much. We glamorize the points in the stat sheets too much. Look at the way he played. Look at his involvement in the offense. Look at every shift. He was trying to get something done when he had the puck and when he didn't have the puck. And I think that's the sign of confidence. Certainly it's the sign of leadership and somebody embracing their role. I'm so happy for Mario Ferraro and the steps that he's been taking. The one disappointment, you want to know what it is? My biggest disappointment in Mario Ferraro right now, and it's significant, is that he's stopped posting on his YouTube channel during the season. I say that, all kidding aside, and I mean, I am being lighthearted about this, but I'm also serious about this. I would love to see his life during the season, but I also fully respect his kind of approach on it, that he's too busy with hockey from basically, September until whenever it's done. And he'll post videos in the summer. I love all the training videos. I love all the lifestyle videos. Maybe at some point this year when the Sharks have a couple down weeks, maybe during the Olympic break, we'll see some more Mario greatness on Youngest of Plugs. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, he might be the NHL's best YouTuber. Mario Ferraro, his channel is Youngest of Plugs. And sometime soon, we got to have the Brazil-Ferraro collaboration. We got to collaborate on something. I don't know what we're going to do, what we should do, what we can do. I don't know. But I definitely want that to happen. Love the way he jumped in that play. Timo and Logan playing a little give and go, and then Ferraro seizing the opportunity, getting that centering pass from Logan. And that was 5:55 into the game. And that was also the very shift after Middleton and Greenway had dropped the gloves in this game, and the temperature instantly got turned up. And, for whatever reason, the Wild and Sharks are not in the same division. They were last year. They saw each other, was it seven times? So, a frequent amount of players experiencing each other. I don't know what it was about tonight, why it was a little extra salty and chippy, but it was, and I like the way the Sharks responded. I've seen some comments here in the live chat about James Reimer. Do we have a number one? Do we have a goalie controversy? Do we have a goalie conversation? We don't have a conundrum, right? I reserve goalie conundrum for when both goalies are struggling, and you'd rather neither of them get in there. So what is it? Controversy, conversation, conundrum. Gosh, there was another C. Brownie and I subscribed to this. We made this a couple years ago. I can't remember off the top of my head what the final one was. Anyway, it's interesting what the Sharks have going on. Adin Hill this year has given you performances that prove why the Sharks went out and got him. A shutout here, 1-goal performance there, like Reimer tonight. It's a nice thing when you're having this problem, so to speak. The question is, right? Like, Reimer allows 1 goal tonight. And the goal itself, Joel Eriksson-Ek, is a wrister. He kind of dangled a little bit, shot it from a distance that normally may not score. Reimer clearly didn't see it, turned his head. By the time he turned his head, it was in the back of the net. So what I'm saying is, if you're Bob Boughner and the Sharks, there's the catch-22 of this. Like, how could you not give Reimer more looks, opportunity, play the hot hand, go with how it worked tonight against a very strong and similar St. Louis team? At the same respect, you're playing every other night. This is not a 3 of 4 opportunity. There's no back-to-backs here. Like, do you want Adin Hill to basically not play in a week's time? Because then that's going to happen. That's a tough. It's a tough challenge when you have 2 that can get it done for you. One is not clearly leaps and bounds better or performing better than the other. They're both, you want to give them both chances. You want to help them both thrive. But I think with Reimer tonight and swallowing up the rebounds, that's another thing. The Wild did not throw a lot of shots on James Reimer. 7 in the first on goal, 13 in the second period. How about that? That's when they scored, but it's 13 shots on goal in the second and then 7 shots on goal in the third period. Total of 27. Reimer made 26 stops. It was an all-around impressive defensive performance tonight for the Sharks, and Reimer's going to get a lot of credit for that. And granted, he deserves it, but this is what the team is capable of when they play kind of a tighter defensive structure. and you're going to make your goalies look good. How about the hit on Alex Barabanov by Matt Dumba? Now, I don't think I said this even clear enough on television, so I'll try and give myself a second chance here on YouTube, and maybe it'll work out better this time. But I think what I've gained and gathered that I don't like over the years are hits that finish with a player elevating through the opponent. The hitting player is not finishing and going straight through a player, or they're staying in that athletic position. They're literally saying, oh, I am going to lift off into you. And that was the case, I think, with Dumba tonight. You cannot argue at all that he was trying to play the puck with Barabanov there, who didn't even have complete possession of the puck. He was trying to play it, I think, off the wall. He was just kind of loose at that point. And again, I know that hit has existed for decades. I understand it. I'm not even here to say that it's clean or dirty or legal or not or suspendable or not. I'm not even saying that. All I'm saying is I don't like it. And the hit police is out there on Twitter. Whoa, this and that, and you don't like it. It's part of the game. Well, I'm just saying I don't. From a person perspective, from a human perspective, I don't like to see it. I wouldn't like to see it if a Shark player were finishing that hit and going up into the hit. Was it shoulder to head contact? No, not even close. It was literally almost butt to head contact. It was like hip to head contact. But Barabanov's head, how could you say it wasn't the principal point of contact? It literally was. That was literally the aiming point. I talked about Timo earlier. Did I mention this? His 14 points in 10 games puts him on a short list with Owen Nolan and Joe Thornton for the most points in their first 10 games of a Sharks season. So 14 is behind Owen, who leads everybody with 17. He had 17 points in his first 10 games of the 99-2000 season. Jumbo 3 different times put up 16, 15, and 15. And then after that on the list, first 10 games, most points, Timo Meier right behind those two. So it's good company. And I wanted to get that in there. 3 guys, especially tonight, I thought played well that had come back from the COVID protocol. Vlasic, Timo, and Erik Karlsson. I like that. Just encouraging, right? And it's new names. And how about this? I mentioned earlier that the Sharks scored in all 3 periods. I think that's key. I also think it's extremely critical that 9 different players were on the stat sheet tonight for San Jose. The contributions were far and wide and through 60 minutes. So there you have it. I'll dive into the live chat here in just a second. But first, I kind of wanted to go on a little bit of a side rant here. I think what we're realizing now in life, in society, and in sports is that our relationship, if you want to call it that, with COVID-19, it may have hit a plateau. This may have become a point where this is what the world looks like for the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. I don't know how long it's going to be, but we've kind of reached a situation where we can get things done. Things are still definitely not normal. There are setbacks. There are surprises. We're still learning. We're developing. We're trying to counter this situation. We don't have it nearly under complete control, but all that can be said. And that's what the experts are saying. The doctors and the people I listen to is what they're saying is maybe get used to right now. This could be it for a bit, for better and sometimes for worse. But I think as you translate that to sports, think about the last couple weeks. You've had the San Jose Sharks have 7 players plus their head coach, their trainer, their equipment manager test positive for COVID. They're basically out for 2 weeks. You've got the Ottawa Senators currently who are down 10 players and had 3 games this week postponed. And switching gears completely, but here locally in the Bay Area, you have the Cal football team who played a game 2 weekends ago with a certain amount of players testing positive, and then last week had their game postponed against USC because they had upwards of 40 individuals testing positive for COVID. I mean, that's it's hard to fathom on one end, and they're 99% vaccinated. That's the other thing about the Sharks. 100% vaccinated. From what I understand about the Senators, same situation, 100%. So in some ways, right, it's hard to fathom that many people on a team getting it, passing it along. But in another way, is it really surprising though? I mean, you have players sharing the closest of quarters on a bench, in a plane, bus rides, shower spaces, on the ice, on the field, spitting on each other. It is that graphic. And not to mention, you're going to see individuals like, for example, in hockey, Jonathan Marchessault of the Vegas Golden Knights now put on COVID protocol. Don't tell me that is not going to affect his team's season and his team in the short term. Let me just say this. As I talk about all this from a sports perspective, that's because this is my place, maybe. This is my job. This is what I follow. But what I really care about, honestly, is the health and safety of all these individuals, all their family, all the people that they could or could not pass this on to. I mean, that's honestly my true care and concern. So I want to state that before I go deeper. But what you're seeing in sports right now, like this might be the reality. And why is it such that baseball season didn't seem very impacted and football season is not as much impacted? Is it because it's an outdoor sport? I mean, hockey is a pretty... You've been on an NHL bench, you know it's a pretty gross sport. And last year, you had these teams in virtual bubbles and they were isolating and distancing. And this year, because there are tools available, we know more about this. There's the vaccination rate is quite high. They're allowing the players more freedom. But with that increased freedom, it kind of counteracts the steps that you took is increased risk. You're all of a sudden traveling to certain parts of the country and the COVID rate there is high. The vaccination rate's low. The distancing requirements and measurements are not in place. They're non-existent in a lot of parts of our country. And because of that, you're taking your team through these places and they're at a certain risk, and maybe that's where they're getting COVID from, bringing it back, moving it around, who knows. But the long story is here, if you're not liking the way sports are right now and your favorite player all of a sudden is out for 2 weeks and your favorite team is postponed like the Senators for 2 weeks, I hate to say it, but get used to it because I think this is the way sports will play out for the next year plus, especially winter sports, especially, the NHL, it didn't start last year until January. That was really the peak of where things were at. We were in a totally different circumstance back then in a lot of ways, but we have not seen winter sports play through the months of November, December, and most of January. The NBA got off to an earlier start last year, but to the point, I'm not so sure that things are going to change from how they are right now. I could see more setbacks. Now, again, we care about people's health the most, and hopefully all of the bad stuff is just minor inconveniences. Ultimately, that's what you aim for. All right, player X is out. Player X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, and F are all out, but they're only out for 2 weeks. They're all going to recover. Everything's going to be fine. Okay. In my perspective, that's way more important than life or death situations. But at the same respect, if you're just taking it from the sports aspect, and that's what you care about, and you don't like the way sports are going right now, and you don't like this trend, again, you may not be thrilled with it, but this is the direction, and this is the routine. This is unfortunately going to be the new normal for sports for a certain period of time. So I wanted to get that out. I don't know who agrees with that, who even cares about that, but I think that's a big deal as it relates to sports, as it relates to what to expect. I wish it were different. I wish we had turned a corner. But at the same respect, you also can't have players going through a season like they did last year. Hockey players. Team meetings can't happen. Team dinners can't happen. You're on the road. You're just in your room. It's a slam click, right? What do players do when they go to the hotel back then? Slam click. It's the door. It's the door shutting to the hotel room. You don't talk to anybody else. It's an isolated situation. So I see a comment here that I've got to get to. Maddie, you've been on the screen for a bit there. Xanified. Why is my screen clicking so much? Let me see if I can stop that. All I'm literally doing is moving wires, by the way. Look at me. See, if I move it right there, will it stop glitching? You would excel so much in the Toronto market. Keep it up. What does that? What does that mean? That's a compliment, I think. Are you saying that? If you're saying that I approach this sensibly and you like that because you don't think everybody in Toronto does, I guess I'll take that. But I don't know what's going on there. I apologize because I got so behind in the comments, and now look at this thing. I think it's time for me to invest in a new. Is that the cord that's giving me problems? Oh, nope, maybe not. It's time for me to invest in a new HDMI adapter because that's the problem. Why that thing's a little bit glitchy right there. Yeah, all the defensemen look good tonight. They all jumped in. They were all in plays. Still very bothered on how that ended in a penalty on Hurdle. Yeah, you're talking about the Dumba Barabanov, the hit, and then what ensued because of it. Totally agree. Brody Brazil, better than Teal Town, USA. I don't want to make it about that. Those guys get ahead. They've been doing this live stream thing longer. They get a great head start. They have a whole team. Me, it's just literally me. It's me and all this equipment. I do all this. They have resources. I'm years behind. Shout out to Teal Town, USA. No, I agree with you, and I know what you're saying. And I don't mean to compete in their live streaming space, but yeah, they can go on while we're doing post game, and then I'll go on after that. So kind of works out that way. This is a classic comment, and I got to fix this. This is really bugging me. But can someone just get Hurdle to say hockey is life? Why has this not happened yet? Brian, I know what you're referring to, and I hope everybody else does. You're talking about Ted Lasso. Oh, what's the character's name? Soccer. Oh, football is life. I almost said soccer's life. Football is life. Yeah, that's classic. What is his name? Put it in the chat if you wouldn't mind. Oh, meaning I would have thousands in the chat. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. Yeah, you know what? I know in the sports I cover, the Oakland A's and the San Jose Sharks, that hockey is not necessarily always the biggest metric in my region. But I do this for the love of it. It's a passion project. It doesn't have to be for followers or views or clicks or whatever. But we did just surpass 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. So I am pretty proud of that. And I'm proud of, oh my gosh, have I not even said Sharks Night Shift? How am I going to do a live stream, brand it and everything, and never officially refer to it as Sharks Night Shift? Danny Rojas, thank you so much. Elliot, thank you. Illuminato, thank you. Danny Rojas. Oh, how about that? You know what's amazing about this? I'm talking trash about Teal Town, and then Teal Town is in the live chat instantly. So you're lurking, Teal Town, are you? Hang on a second. Can you do this, Teal Town? Okay. This is a good chat. We need Tommy Wingles back with Tommy Hurdle. I agree. Those are peas and carrots from the good old days. Oh, look at, if I touch the cable, look at that. If I touch the cable, it stops glitching. Now what? If I let go? Oh, maybe I fixed it. That is so trippy. Oh, it just moved. If I touch it? What is this, like a grounding issue? What the heck's going on here? Oh. I feel like it's good luck when I touch it. We've always supported the bro dog. Appreciate you guys, Teal Town. Oh, good question. What's my favorite Sharks jersey that I own? This is awkward for me to admit this. I only have jerseys that say Brazil and number 6 on the back. Yeah. Well, I take it back. And the one that I have, the first one I have like the original Sharks crest and logo from from the 90s. I think I still have that one. And then I also bought one when I was in college. But I don't know what's on the back of that one. Maybe nothing, actually. But all the ones I've acquired since then, yeah. Am I at work? Yes, I am. I'm in the conference room here at NBC Sports California, and I'm now holding cables to try and... Look at that. Oh, no. All right, so it's not me grabbing it. I fixed it for a second, I know. You guys hacked my system to mess with the stream. I should hire a professional cable holder. You're absolutely right. Thoughts on LeBanc being put on the fourth line? You know, I was talking to Curtis about this earlier today, and I think it's so hard as a professional coach. Now, this could be hockey, baseball, basketball, football, whatever. How do you, these are adults you're coaching. This isn't like kids where I think they're more easily reachable and motivated, and you can connect with them. I think it's hard as a pro coach to push the right buttons and know when, you know, some guy might need a demotion to a certain line or less ice time or just to be a scratch or a talking to or have a teammate talk to them or whatever. But it's, you know, I know Kevin LeBanc has the scoring prowess. First couple games of this year, he's in the power play, he's banging them home. And I feel like we are removed from that in a lot of different ways. Now, don't get me wrong, like, you know, COVID setback aside, I'll give him some time. Let's see how this goes. But I know what he can do. Like, that's the hard part is if you looked at Kevin LeBanc and said, he's never done it. I don't know if he can. No, it's not that. It's I can. How do you get more out of him? So to be honest, let's just go back to your question, Elliot, and let's be straightforward about it. You know, this happens to a lot of players. It's not the first time that he's found himself on a different line. I just hope he responds. I mean, Bugner was pretty critical in his comments even about Vlasic earlier today in pregame, and Vlasic responded in the game, I thought. So, you know, it's procedural. It's part of this, and I'm waiting for the response. That's what I'm waiting for. All right, let me zip through some more of these. Marco, where's the beer? Well, I would have it, but I'm at work. Thank you for the compliments on the home studio. This setup is cool. I appreciate that. It's literally a conference room. I could show you a little bit more, but it's got the nice glass background, and so that's kind of what I use. Unfortunately, there's just this glitching graphic thing going on, which I'll have to figure out at some other point. But thanks so much for being here. Some president of the Logan Couture fan club. Oh, we have to make a clip of that when he was eating the pizza at the end of the show, and he's like, interview's over. Ooh, until I get an A's Sharks mashup with Couture on the back. Here comes Teal Claws. Here comes Teal Claws. Right down Teal Claws Lane. If Mario won't do YouTube during the season, maybe I should convince him to do TikTok. I just think all players, they just take social off in the winter, you know, for hockey players, which makes sense. I don't know. You know, it's just, I get it. It's the last thing you want is that messing with you. And look, believe it or not, I know you guys say, well, they're professionals and they can just ignore it. Can you, though? They're humans. Could you ignore it if people were talking straight up about you and your job performance? Probably not. You would peak. It would get to you at some point. Also, if you're going to be on social, how could you be on there, look for the stuff you want to see, and miss the stuff you don't want to see? People are tagging you, all that stuff. Anyway. Brownie should be holding my cables, Drew. Absolutely. Where is Curtis? Quitter? He already went home. Oh, Jack, how about this? Tommy Wingle's sister was your kindergarten teacher and Vlasic's aunt. Or is it aunt? Aunt? Aunt. I say aunt. Aunt was a French teacher at your school. Of course she taught French. Ha ha! How was the Moscow Mule? It was generous in all senses of the word. It was a generous pour. It was a generous offer. You know what? I forgot. I don't know the last time I had one or whatever, but I quite liked the Moscow Mule that Boiler poured me. I told him when I left, I will have another one of these soon. I really will. The ginger beer, legit. Yeah, Matthew, and I said before, I think there's a video here on my channel. Brent Burns, probably the most important player of the Sharks season so far, based on the games that they missed a bunch of defensemen especially. And Ferraro right along with him. They have been the 1-2 defining D pair of this team. Curtis Brown and Brody and the cable holder guy. That's PG. That's pretty good. It's got a ring to it. Oh my goodness. If Vlasic had, or Brugner had to permanently choose between Vlasic, Šimek, Hadaka today, look, I think to your point, if that's where we're at in deciding, who a third pair looks like, or how are we going to split that time up, I'm happy that there is competition, right? I mean, if that's what it's going to come down to, see who plays the best, who performs the best. I mean, let that be the dictator so that the coaches don't have to make an arbitrary decision. So the answer is I don't know. But make the players decide that for you. Make it an easy decision. I agree. Great game tonight. And let me go back to that as the number one theme and topic. If you've tuned in late, I mean, I started off the beginning of this live stream by just saying that the Sharks this year have had a couple clunkers, like the game against Winnipeg, like the game against the Avs. Opponents scored in all three periods in both those games. But the game before those two was in Calgary, 4-1 win, defining statement victory. How about tonight? Same thing. I mean, you beat a really good team and you beat them decisively. So I want to say that this Sharks team is not clearly going to be given anything. They're not clearly in the playoffs. They're not also clearly out, but they have shown you flashes of what they're capable of. And I think that take all the on the ice stuff and their play as one part of it, take the character as another part of it. Plenty of opportunities this year for the Sharks to have character flops. And that hasn't happened. So, let's dive through as many of these as I can, then I'll be up and out. Is it possible for Reimer to pass over Hill? Look, the Sharks want Adin Hill to be the next guy, but the reason they got Reimer was just for this situation. Solid, steady. Again, what do you do on Thursday? Reimer allowed 1 goal tonight. Any potential lineup changes for Thursday? I think you roll, if everybody's healthy, I think you roll the exact same lineup out there again. How do you not? Wheezing Lungs, Boiler does have a tremendous house. If you missed it, here on my channel, there's a video of it from the other night. We did a little tour, a little Property Bros tour. Tito's Vodka and Fever Tree Ginger Beer with fresh squeezed limes, the best. I'm pretty sure that's what he poured me. It was definitely Tito's handmade vodka. I don't remember the ginger beer. And did he put some limes in there? At that point, I was blacked out with intimidation. I didn't even see what else he put in there. Oh, you like the set? You like the chaos? Okay, we could probably do more of that. Burns and Mario pairing. I'm not really a gamer, Matthew. Other than like FIFA and old school Super Mario Brothers. So, oh man, the chat just blew up here. The Boilermaker. Well, we were in the boiler room. How about that? Eric Carlson's slapper is a thing of beauty. I'm going to call it a clapper. He clapped on that one. Vlasic can't be washed. All right. Yeah, happy with the start. And I agree. 15 games in, if I told you they'd be 8-6-1, can't be too disappointed with that. Also, they're going to conclude another 5-game road trip here coming up soon. 3 5-game roadies early on. And how about this? If they win on Thursday, even if they get a point out of that game in St. Louis on Thursday, 5 out of a possible 10, 6 out of a possible 10 on this trip, and look at the opponents that they faced and the rearranging they did with players and their roster, it's pretty impressive. And I agree. There's my question. Will Reimer start at St. Louis or Adin Hill? I don't know. It's a good, tough decision. Patty is a coach? I don't know. I don't know if everybody's destined to be a coach. For some people, they find it hard to coach because they were so good at it. It came naturally. That teaching and growing the game that way, that doesn't come naturally. So I don't know, to be honest with you. Thornton leaving. You mean like leaving Toronto? he was gone a while ago. And yeah, I do think the Sharks are they're retooling. There's no question about it. And Patrick Marleau is there for the taking right now by an NHL team, probably by a contending team, but he's not on the Sharks. So, I think that indicates that the Sharks are trying to, change directions and nothing personal, Patty or Joe, but they're trying to rebuild for a different situation moving forward. Oh, Justin, with the Dodgers logo too. Matt Olson to the Sharks? I mean, he's going to be rumored to everybody else. Why not the Sharks? Have you also noticed that this little situation down here seems fixed all of a sudden? Maybe I just needed to be on the chat a little bit more. The next 5, honestly, Elliot, the last 5 could... Wait, did it just jump? The last 5 could... this road trip entirely could tell you something about the team. Couture, Meier, and Dahlin, I absolutely agree. Don't sleep on Hurdle's trio either. Honestly, what to you is the top line some nights? Some night it's Hurdle's trio, some night it's Logan's trio. I think the better way to put it is so happy to have 2 top-tier centermen leading the way for your team. I also agree, love Jasper Weatherby. I can't wait to talk to him. I think there's more to Jasper Weatherby than we know. Skipped his final year of college to come to the NHL. There's a lot to that story. Team has a lot of tenacity and drive. Looking forward to seeing what they're capable of. I agree. 1 game, 1 period at a time. I should try speed running Super Mario sometime. Are you talking about the video game or Mario Ferraro? The video game is the only way I have a chance. Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people, Matthew, thought that this season the Sharks maybe didn't do enough to change their identity, to ultimately change the result. And small sample size, but I will say this. Let's back up for a second. October 16th, the Sharks season begins. We did not know what to expect. Here we are on November 16th. We've seen them play 15 games. We've seen them play almost a third of their games, close to half their games, missing 7 players due to COVID protocol and their head coach. We've already seen them play a ton of road games. We've seen them have, some deflating losses, but some statement wins. I think overall, you have to chalk up this first month for Team Teal as pretty positive. Now, can you maintain it? Can you sustain it? Those are all questions to be answered. But so far, so good. I think there's a lot to build on. If that's where we're starting, things are in a pretty good spot. All right, I think that's it. I think I'm Audi 3000, 5000, all of the above. Oh, do you like that? See, I have that cute, like, say something stupid, Brazil. Or dream with me for a second. All right. You guys really don't like this? I think the sound effect volume is a little bit lower than everything else. Let me crank that up just a little bit there. Like, for example, toilet. That's a little better, right? You're hearing the toilet at the proper volume. Oh, yeah, by the way, did everybody hear that at Dan Boyle's house? He's got 2 of those automated Toto toilets that, like, open up for you. They go, hello, Mr. Boyle. And then they heat for you, and they spray you, and they dry you. And at the end, they shut for you. It's... Wow. If only someday I could sit on one of those every day. All right. Let's see what this button does. No, that's not what I wanted to do. All right. It's not baseball season. Nope, it's hockey season. And I'm signing off. Just want to give the soundboard there a little run for its money. I appreciate everybody being here on Sharks Night Shift, episode whatever this is. I do find that a lot more people want to talk about wins than losses. Get the live chat going off with toilet talk now. Sounds like desert dogs. Somebody take the toilet button away. Yeah, somebody should have. But yeah, statement win by this team. Refreshing that after a couple losses, they're back to what we think they're capable of. I honestly, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think the Sharks have to struggle this year. I think they can be back to their traditional ways. Hopefully, make a push for the playoffs. All right, everybody, be safe. We'll talk to you probably tomorrow and for sure on Thursday. Good night.